This is Ed Rep Radio, presented by Eastman Music Company. This is Ed Rep Radio, a podcast to bring you ideas and information from industry experts you can use on the road every day. Presented by Eastman Music Company, and I'm your host, Shane Duell. Over the years, technology has undergone a remarkable evolution, equipping outside sales reps with sophisticated tools such as mobile devices, advanced CRM systems, and data analytics, enhancing their ability to manage customer interactions, track leads, and optimize their strategies. These technological advancements have enabled outside sales reps to work more efficiently, delivering personalized pitches, accessing real-time information, and fostering stronger relationships with clients, ultimately leading to improved sales outcomes and greater customer satisfaction. And that introduction was written by artificial intelligence. I just went into ChatGPT and said, write 2 sentences on how technology has evolved over the years and how it helps outside sales reps do their job better. And that's what it spit out. Technology has certainly changed the way ed reps do their work, and trying to keep up with the latest technology can feel like an impossible task. Luckily, we have Dennis Hallmeyer of Bertrand's Music here to explain several specific programs, apps, and technologies that he has found to be the most useful to ed reps. Be sure to check out the program notes of this episode for a list of those programs and apps with links, and they are listed in the order in which they are mentioned on this episode. Dennis Hallmeyer, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic. I remember 20 years ago starting as a rep, I thought I was high tech because I had a BlackBerry, but so much has changed. And I saw you do a great presentation at NASMD where you really whittled down the most useful pieces of technology that are out there for ed reps. And I think everyone's going to learn a lot, whether you're tech savvy or you still use that BlackBerry. I think this is a good episode and very useful. So, Dennis, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're working, what your job is there?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm at Bertrand's Music, based out of San Diego, California. Been with the company for about 11 years. So a little bit of time now. I've worked in a lot of different capacities within the company, from, working directly in the retail store to overseeing multiple locations. And now I oversee our marketing and our outside sales team, or, the ed reps. Mm-hmm. So I'm working with them on a regular basis, developing new processes, procedures, and ways that we can improve the team and improve our service to our accounts.
All right, great. And it seems like from talking to you, seeing your presentation at NASMD, you've really tried to utilize technology in the best way possible to maximize everything at the store. How did you get into technology, and have you always been into it?
Yeah, so I've definitely always been an advocate of technology, been interested in technology. I actually started my pursuits in school coming through high school, and my beginning of my college career was in computer science. So I originally thought I was going to major in computer science. So that's where my background was there. And then I kind of decided that all I want to do is play music, and I'm having a lot of fun in my music classes, jamming with my friends, learning music theory, all of that sort of thing. So, and my computer science classes were a little dry, unfortunately. So, kind of led me to switch my major to music and go through a program that merged technology with music in the form of music production. So, I went to CSU Monterey Bay and studied music with a specialization in recording and technology. So that's kind of where that tech background comes in. I designed websites when I was younger and was always into that sort of thing. So I think that that's helped in my professional development, being able to implement different pieces of technology to hopefully make us more successful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense then. Your tech savviness is deep rooted from your degrees and everything you've done. So perfect. I look forward to learning from you on all these various technological pieces that help us all out there. So how does technology in general help ed reps be more productive in their everyday life out there? What have you found?
Yeah. So for us, a really important part is, the efficiency
Hmm.
of not just the ed reps, but myself as a support system for them, as well as our internal sales team. So, to be more efficient, technology has a lot of different things that it can offer to us to help us do that. As an example, we can all only remember so much, right? Like
Hmm.
taking notes on a piece of paper works for some people, but one of the big benefits of computers is storage. So being able to have the capacity to maintain a vast amount of information and have it be accessible to everyone across the organization is one of the biggest drivers for me.
Hmm.
And then in addition to that, having the data to then go back to, I'm a big proponent of data driven decision making. So having the ability to go back to that rather than relying on your memory is a huge benefit for the ed rep and then also the support team as well.
Yeah, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I can see if you remember more things you were supposed to do, you follow up better, and that just makes you a more trustworthy rep, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, good point. Good point. So a lot of times I hear ed reps will say, I've just done it this way. I've used my notepad and my pen for 30 years. I'm good. I don't need to change. Is there a reason to change?
I would say absolutely there's a reason to change.
Hmm.
I understand that resistance. I've certainly dealt with people that feel that resistance. Everyone in general is resistant to change. Very few people are excited when you want to change their processes or their day to day workflow. Um,
Their
you know,
habits.
yeah, exactly. Putting in a
Yeah.
new program, whether that's something digital or not, doesn't really matter. But to change those habits is a challenge. But I think that there absolutely is a reason, and that's that you can do much more with the same amount of time. It allows
Hmm.
one rep to do more than the job of one person that's not using that technology. So not only are you able to be, as you mentioned, more efficient, more responsive, follow up better, but you're also able to, gain back some time for yourself as
Hmm.
well that maybe allows you some extra time to focus on different things, be more strategic with your planning, things of that nature.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you find reps that are really utilizing technology? I think about the competitive atmosphere that you find yourself in a lot of markets where you have multiple ed reps going into one school. Do you find that ed reps who use technology tend to have a little bit more of a competitive advantage than somebody who doesn't?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. It provides a competitive advantage for sure. Not just for the ed rep themselves, but also because so many directors are now used to dealing with technology.
Hmm.
One of the things coming out of COVID, of course, a lot of negatives, but one of the positives was that it accelerated this adoption of technology. And so teachers that had not had that exposure or had been doing things the same way without technology for many, many years have now adopted different ways to do those things. So keeping up on technology just for that aspect is important.
Hmm.
But also it's allowed our team to be more functional in the way that we're providing information
Hmm.
and resources that we're able to get to our educators.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure in the bottom line, then it's also good for your educators, which is good for the music programs, which is good for the students, right? If you can provide better service through this
That
technology.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's all about providing optimum service, and whether you're talking about efficiency on the road rep side or providing new and innovative programs, technology is a big part of a way that we do that.
Hmm. Okay. So before we get into this list of various specific programs that you find are super valuable to ed reps, I'm curious if you've witnessed someone kind of go through this process of being someone who's used to pen and paper and has done that for a number of years. Have you witnessed someone go from that to utilizing technology and having it change their success out in the field?
Yeah, I have. So one example, I guess I could use it, and it's not to say that pen and paper isn't still useful in certain scenarios, right? So
Sure.
it is shown that writing things down does help you remember it better. So I do have reps on my team that actually still do handwritten notes and then go back and enter that into the system
Hmm.
afterwards, whether it's with a picture of those handwritten notes or putting in some bullet points or some way. But some of the things that I've seen be most advantageous is in the form of things like templates. And on the email side, we do a lot of email communication, right? So that was where
Mm-hmm.
I saw some of the first immediate value when we took on the new process and some of the new things in the CRM platform that we use. It's called HubSpot. But some of the value that right off the bat got some initial buy-in was the power of some of these email templates and the amount of time that it saves to be able to utilize those as opposed to rewriting something very similar for a lot of your accounts.
Hmm. Okay, great. Well, let's dig into it. I'm excited to get into some of the specifics. So let's start with what you would call kind of the go-to, must-have, must-use, basic general technology that you think that ed reps should adopt and start using right away.
Yeah, so for me and my team, I think some of the first things I would say is some form of a CRM or a tool that you are able to share information uh, about your accounts across the organization and have that transparency. One of the biggest challenges coming from the way that I had seen the process go before was a lot of the relationship information, who is the director, what does the director play, what groups and ensembles do they teach, how many students are in their programs. All of this information was really stored in the rep's head, being such a relation based business.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have turnover or you have to train someone to take over that position because they're retiring or whatever the case may be, then you're kind of starting from scratch, right? So you're rebuilding that entire relationship. So having a way to have that information documented and visible to multiple people is super important.
Hmm.
Could be done with something as simple as a spreadsheet, but a CRM is definitely more advantageous.
Yeah. Can you kind of explain what CRM means if it's a new term to someone out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, customer relationship management, I think, is what it stands for.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a tool like HubSpot, as an example, is one. There's a lot of different examples of CRM. Salesforce is probably one of the best known.
Mm-hmm.
Zoho CRM, there are many out there. But what it does is it allows you to keep all of that information in one place so that you're able to store information about your accounts. Generally, there's some form of task management, reminders, allows you to track where you are in the sales process, different deals that you have going on with clients. And really, the ultimate goal is preventing anything from falling off the radar or slipping through the cracks. Gives you the opportunity to review and see, oh, yeah, I haven't reached out to that contact in a while. I need to find out what's going on with them, or getting that email reminder about a proposal that you put in a couple weeks ago that you haven't heard back on yet. So that's some of the power that a CRM tool really is able to bring to a sales team.
Yeah, yeah, I know some of the biggest and best sales teams in the world in any industry uses some sort of a robust CRM. So yeah, good one there. All right, what else?
Some of the other things that people are probably familiar with already would be something like Zoom or Teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know many of the ed reps that I talk to across the industry are covering very large territories. And
Mm.
one of the benefits of technology is now, you can actually do a visit with a director without having that drive all the way out to them. Not that you want to do that every time. There's, of course, a lot of value in being face to face. And, when you're dropping off product or bringing in or dropping off repairs, all of that sort of thing. But if you want to get a little bit more of that connection that you don't get from an email, that's another tool that you can use.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, good one.
Also, I'd say the ability to record video, whether it's with Zoom, Teams, or a screen capture of some kind, is another way that you can try to deepen that relationship. Recording a quick personalized video for your
Hmm.
account is another tool that could be used.
Can you do that on Zoom and Teams without doing a meeting with someone?
Yeah, yeah, you can
Hmm.
record videos on Zoom. I'm not a Teams user, so I don't know the in depths of that one, but I assume you can do the same sort of thing with that as well.
Yeah, it's very similar. Microsoft Teams. Yeah, we use it at Eastman. All right, good, good one. What else?
Other thing I kind of mentioned spreadsheets before. So whether you're using, Google Workspace, Google Sheets, Excel, those are definitely tools that should be utilized regularly. We're on the POS system AIM, which I know a lot of people use in the industry, and the reports and things that it's able to export to Excel are super
Hmm.
important for me, to help support my team and understand what's going on with them, but also just in general to be able to share information internally
Mm-hmm.
between our team. We use spreadsheets all the time
Hmm.
for many different things. So being comfortable with a spreadsheet tool, whichever one it is, I'd say is definitely something that every team should be working with.
Yeah. Can you give us an example of something that maybe an ed rep should track or have the data for in Excel or in Google Sheets? What kind of data would be most useful?
Sure. So sales data, absolutely. In a sales role, you should be tracking, what are your goals? Where are you at moving towards your goal? An account by account breakdown. Where were they at last year? Where are they at this year? Quarter by quarter, or however your company works.
Hmm.
That some of that stuff you can do in a CRM tool if you're using that, but at minimum, definitely in Excel. Other things, rental numbers, absolutely, by account would be another big one for us, and what we're tracking. Um, Other information that we keep track of, again, some internal stuff is just supplies and things that we have spread out across the team, whether it's stuff that we use for rental events or for trial days or anything like that. Many of those things we're using internal Google Sheets to collaborate on that.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. I'll throw one out there that I used to do when I was an ed rep. I would track the number of beginners a teacher would have in one column. I track the number of school instruments that each teacher would use, and then how many rentals we got, and then look at the difference, which Excel would do automatically through a nice little formula, and then I would see how many instruments came from somewhere else, and I have a whole list of that. So it was super interesting to kind of manipulate and see the data and draw the information out in Excel. Yeah, super powerful. Good one. All right, what else?
In today's world, I would say using a tool like some sort of a calendar, whether you're on Google Calendar or something of the like, and then integrating that with the schools that you're servicing. Many
Hmm.
of those organizations have public calendars, so
Okay.
it's a really easy way to be able to sync that with your day-to-day calendar and then be able to follow along without having 20 different school district calendars pinned all over a cork board or something crazy like that. And you can easily turn them on and off, so it's not overwhelming to look at, and just follow along with what do they have going coming up. Do they have a band concert? Is band camp happening this week? All of those different things that we need to keep track of, which hopefully they're communicating to their directors about as well.
Yeah.
But is easy to get pulled into that calendar
Well,
also.
that's really interesting. So you're saying like school districts will have a downloadable calendar that you can have show up in your calendar?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of
Huh.
schools utilize something like that, and they'll have it on their district website for sure for kind of the general school calendar. What are the holidays? When are they going back to school? Some of the bigger events, but also many band programs have their own calendar as well. So they'll have their
Hmm.
different performances. Even oftentimes they'll have really important rehearsals on there as well. And you can get a lot of information just through following some of those calendars.
Yeah, that's really smart, Dennis. And so you don't have to go search every single time to see if there's some sort of a district event or something getting in the way of your rental night, right? You can just have it there.
Yeah, absolutely. Or another way we've used it is in, planning sale dates. When you're talking about all of the different festivals and things that schools are attending, you want to make sure that as much as possible you're not interfering with any of that stuff, and that if you're trying to draw people from that demographic, that you're not competing with an event they have going on potentially out of town.
Right, right. Or spring break or some random day off. Yeah, that's great. It's a good one. All right. Anything else in that kind of general technology that you find most useful?
I think that covers some of the general stuff.
Okay, sounds good. So, a lot of ed reps are out there driving around on the road and in the classroom and not necessarily sitting in front of a laptop. So, I'm curious what apps or programs or technology do you find is the most useful for someone on the go?
Yeah, so one I would say is voice assistants have become incredibly powerful these days. So having the ability to access that on the go is something that my reps use and something that I would recommend. Something as simple as just talk to text, even, right? So they're driving around and they're able to still communicate with, whether it's replying to a director or even internally to me or someone on my team. Voice memos is one that I know some of my team are using. Uh, Internally with the CRM we utilize, I really push to, every time you have that interaction with one of your accounts, to take notes. Doesn't matter what the notes are, doesn't matter if it's relevant at the time or not to, a sale or anything else going on, but this is a relationship business, so we're trying to build and deepen that relationship with the clients that we're serving. So if they have, some exciting news about something they're doing this weekend or something they've been looking forward to, maybe they picked up some concert tickets, whatever it might be, logging that into the CRM, and then they're able to do that on the road through the talk to text or voice assistant. And that way, that's another thing that they can talk about when they're getting ready to go to that next visit. They can review whatever they had previously, and then again, with the transparency of information, that's all stuff that I'm able to see as well. So then I can pick out things and say, oh, that's a little tidbit I might be able to help with, or what's a new program that we can start to develop based on some of the similarities I'm seeing and some of the needs between our accounts.
Oh, that's really interesting. So the teacher thinks you have the most amazing memory ever. If
Yeah.
you review these notes before you go in, and then you remember to bring something up or remember their dog's name, they must be so impressed.
Yeah, exactly. And it really helps develop that relationship and you get to know them as a person. And that helps even before I've met a director. If I'm able to review something like that before we go to a rental night, as an example, I already feel like I know them. So
Hmm.
then, I can go into that situation a lot more confident and with some information that could potentially be useful.
As a manager, even though you weren't the
Yes.
one doing the visits. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, that's great. So does your CRM? You said you use HubSpot, right?
we do. Yeah.
Does it have like a phone app that you can have and make these talk to texts go right into the app? How does that work?
Yeah, exactly. So it has a very robust phone app. So
Okay.
even when you're just with your mobile device, you can do things from logging tasks to logging meeting notes, creating new potential deals, adding new contacts, any of that stuff you're able to do very easily.
Hmm. Yeah, I could see that'd be super powerful. Great. Okay. What else can an ed rep use out there on the road that would help them out?
Of course, I got to mention podcasts, right? They should be
Right.
listening to EdRep Radio, number one.
I think we're preaching to the choir here.
That's for sure. But there's a lot of great podcasts on there, whether it's about building relationships in sales or different sales strategies. I'm a big audiobook proponent too,
Hmm.
so I'm always looking to learn new things and explore things in my commute. So that's a big one for me, is listening to podcasts, listening to audiobooks, and kind of developing yourself and working on your professional development while you're on the road, because ed reps spend so much time in cars very often. So it's important to make the best use of that time.
Yeah, certainly. There's so much available now compared to just even 10 years ago. Where do you find audiobooks? What's the best source to go search for something?
I'm an Audible user myself, so
Okay.
that's where I go. Podcasts, I would say, whether you're Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, any of those different places, and then there are other places you can get them as well. But those are the ones that I use.
Yeah, yeah. I know my wife uses something called Access 360, which I think is connected to our local library, where you can check out an audiobook for free. And it's pretty amazing how much is on there. And you just need to make sure you have a library card, basically, and log in and download an audiobook. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And there's new things every day. I mean, it's it's crazy
Yeah,
to
I
try to
know.
keep
I
up
know.
with all of it, but there's so much information out there, definitely more than you could listen to in a lifetime. So,
Yeah, it's true. I think we're gonna have to you and I get together once a year just to go over all right, what's new this year with technology.
right.
Yeah. All right. What else comes to mind?
That's a lot of the stuff for on the road specifically that I would say.
Okay.
Moving into the phone app when you're not actually operating a vehicle and on site at an event, I would say for sure if you have a CRM to be using that. But even the simple notes apps that are available natively in phones now are super powerful and have a lot of different things that you can do with them. I'm an iPhone user personally, so that's the one I'm more familiar with. But you can do things, create a quick note in there. You can create a checklist. You can scan documents to PDF, all sorts of things like that. So I really like that one. Evernote is another note taking app. So if you're not using iOS Notes or Google Notes, that's a good one that's really popular. Notion is another one that you has a very powerful desktop app, and then you can also use mobily. Trello boards is another thing that we use internally and has a good desktop setup and an app. So it's really easy to have kind of a Kanban style list that you can view and add to very quickly and easily. It's
Yeah.
all kind of building back to that same concept of using computers and technology as a storage facility for all of the information and all of the stuff. So you don't have to keep it in your head, and you can really focus in on serving that director or serving that account as best as possible, and focusing on the human interaction and using technology to do what it does best and collect information.
Yeah, good. By the way, to those listening, I'm going to put as many links to all of these various programs that and apps that Dennis is talking about in the program notes, so you can go just click on them and hopefully just find it, download it. So you don't need to take furious notes as to what the names of all these are. You'll just be able to look in the program notes. All right, so let's say you're off the road. You get done for the day. You go to your office. You sit down at your desk. What are some very useful programs that you would have there on your desktop that you would use when you're not on the road?
Sure. So yeah, in my workflow or in a workflow, I would suggest to people on my team, one of the things that comes up time and time again is that communication piece, right? So whether you're sending emails or developing new copy or something that you need to produce some sort of a written sample for, the advances in AI and machine learning uh, around that and large language models like ChatGPT is probably the best known one. So
Hmm.
utilizing a tool like that to either spawn new ideas or develop a starting point. I'm definitely not going to go as far as saying that's going to replace you being a writer or putting in your own element, because I believe it's really important for all of our reps to have their own voice and personality in their writing and in their communication style.
Hmm.
But it's a way that you can really efficiently create a lot of things to make yourself more productive. So that's one that I would say for sure uh, everyone should be using, whether they're in marketing or sales or whatever, just because of the raw power and the ability of that.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. So, for those who haven't used ChatGPT, uh, how do you access this? Where do you find it? Is it a website? Is it an app?
Yeah. So both. You can access it on your phone, or you can access it on a desktop just through the website. So it's developed by OpenAI. So if you just search OpenAI ChatGPT, it'll definitely come up, and it's something that you can sign up for and then have the ability to use different iterations. Their latest version is a subscription, so there's a little bit of money for it. But even I was on the version 3, and it was no cost, and even that is incredibly powerful. And Google's version is called Bard, Bard. It's the same sort of thing. So a lot of that is continuing to integrate into other tools as well. So HubSpot, as an example, has an AI integration now that I believe also uses the Chat GPT engine. A lot of marketing tools, Canva as well as one that we use on our marketing team for graphic design, and that has AI implemented into it now. And it's just crazy to see all the things that are happening with AI and machine learning.
Oh, yeah. And so quickly, too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. We'll see
a
where
little
we are a year from
scary,
now.
but
Right.
yeah.
We'll be all working for the machines.
Yeah.
All right. What else would you say is a useful piece of technology for when you're in the office and you're sitting in your desk in front of your computer?
Yeah. So other things, developing presentations. I don't know how many ed reps are doing something like a PowerPoint presentation or something like that with a director or an admin, but I know some are even using it with for rental nights, right, or
Hmm.
explaining their rental program. So I would say that that's another one. We use that internally a lot. Again, we're on Google Workspace, so we're using Google Slides. But we hold regular meetings with our educational services team, and we have those slides that we use to kind of show what we're talking about, outline information, and then also serves as a resource for our team that they can go back to constantly. So when my ed reps do have that moment to sit down and take a breath and do some of the work at their desk, if there's a new program that we've been talking about or an important change with a process or procedure, they're able to go back and reference those different things in a very easy to access way. So that's another one that I would say is an important tool for us.
Okay, great. What about things like we mentioned text marketing, emails, templates, and email blasts? What do you think about those things?
Yeah, so for text marketing, we actually are getting ready to do a big launch with a company we've been working with over a year now. I think it's been a little over 18 months, called Bluestream.
Hmm.
And that's something that we've developed to really help be an added service and an add on to our rental program.
Blue
And
Stream, is that what you said?
yes, Bluestream,
All right.
Bluestream.
All right.
And what that is kind of a continued customer journey, and it now has an integration with AIM as well. So we're excited to get that off the ground. So when one of our clients comes in, they rent an instrument for the first time. Of course, the biggest challenges for beginner musicians is they don't know what to do, right? And many of their parents have no idea either. It's not like helping with math homework where most parents have kind of a rough idea until a certain level. With music, it can be a scary thing because their parents can't help them. Maybe they're only getting instruction at school 1 day a week. So we really wanted to develop something that was going to help support that student a little bit further and deepen their relationship with us and help support that journey. So what Bluestream does is it takes that information directly through our POS system and then starts them on a text journey to give them tips and tricks and supportive information about their particular instrument on a scheduled timeline. And then depending on how they interact with those links or questions that we ask will determine the next piece of content and the way that that schedule rolls out to them.
Wow. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. A lot of the stuff, there's a range. Some of it's just simple encouragement messages. Some of it's, hey, check out this video on YouTube for some inspiration to practice. Other things, we were able to develop a lot of content. I think a lot of dealers are in this situation where during COVID, we didn't know what we were going to do or what was going to happen next, but a lot of us just started creating some content. So
Hmm.
we developed a lot of video lessons and things that answer those common questions, right? Like, how do I oil the valves on my trumpet? What happens when my mouthpiece gets stuck? Um, how do I know if my violin's the right size? Any of those common questions. So we have a lot of that integrated into those journeys as well.
Wow. Fantastic. I'm going to check that out. Huh, I'm not familiar. Okay. So what about things like email blasts or emails like email blasts to all of your teachers? What's the best way to handle that?
Sure. So most people probably have an email platform that they're using of some kind, I would imagine. We use a couple of different processes. The CRM that we use is primarily what my ed services team is using for email. So when we're doing something like, say, a sales promotion, as an example, another great thing about the CRM tool is that it actually gives you access to information about how your accounts are engaging with that content, so you can understand what's exciting that particular director or where do they feel that they need support. So we do a newsletter blast to all of our educators on a regular basis, and we don't develop all the content. A lot of it's curated content that we use. There are a lot of great resources out there from, NAFME, the NAM Foundation. Yamaha has a lot of great stuff. Eastman definitely puts out, all the manufacturers have done a really good job of starting to develop some of this content. And so we utilize that and figure out what's speaking to our educators. And then depending on how they engage with that, that gives our reps another touch point. So, as an example, if there's an article that we find on classroom management, and we put that into our newsletter, and we see that there's a lot of clicks from a particular educator on that article. They're checking it out, they're rereading it. That tips off our ed rep that, hey, that's probably something that they need support on.
Yeah.
And then that's been super helpful for us. That's one of the other biggest benefits, I'd say, that we've seen from that CRM tool.
That's interesting. It's not that that teacher may come out and tell you that, but because you're seeing actions from that teacher in various things you're sending out, you kind of decipher, hey, maybe they are interested in learning more about this topic. That's really smart.
Yeah, absolutely. Best communities for music education, another NAM topic that's come out. They have that application each year, and then they announce those districts that qualify, and it's an awesome opportunity for recognition for
Hmm.
our ed reps when schools or whole districts are named under that. And that's been one of the top performing things. So when we see that, hey, this person's really interested in what that is, and potentially we can work with them to develop that application and be recognized, and then that gives us an opportunity to highlight that educator and that program to the not only internally to the band students and the band, but to the administration as well.
Hmm. All right. Good stuff. Anything else that comes to mind for that sitting in front of your computer in the office kind of situation?
The other thing I'd say is that working with the writing piece and developing those templates, and then also integrating different pieces of marketing material that we've developed into
Hmm.
those, is another important one. So, if you have a program that is newer, uh, taking the opportunity, whether it's using, a tool like ChatGPT, but then also as you're developing that writing piece, to use something automated like Grammarly
What's that?
is one that I have integrated with my process. And it's like spell check to the next level, right?
Okay.
So it's not just doing spell check, but it's also making suggestions on what's the tone of your writing.
Huh.
And hey, maybe you don't want to word it this way, maybe you want to change these words around, maybe eliminate some of these words. And it's very quick and easy, and just integrates directly into, I'm a Chrome user, so there's a Chrome extension for it. And then every email that you write, it's going to make those suggestions for you, and just helps kind of clean things up and make sure that you're being clear and concise and communicative in the best way.
Interesting. It sounds like a writing coach almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. So let's look at technology that maybe an ed rep would use out at maybe a step up sale or a rental night. Maybe they bring out certain hardware with programs on it. What would that look like? How could technology help them in those kind of situations?
Yeah, so one of the things that happens, I'm sure, to many of us, is those events can get crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the more mobile friendly that you can be, so you're not tied to a cord that's plugged into an electrical outlet, the better.
Hmm.
Not only for things like processing a sale, the AIM version 12 is touchscreen friendly, so I have that loaded up on my iPad. There's also a mobile app that you can utilize, but things that you can do so that you can service more remotely with those different devices your clients more effectively, but also ways that you can help them understand, whether it's looking up information directly there when they have questions, or even pulling up something like, a manufacturer video about a particular product to help give them some more insight or answer some questions that you might not be able to. Those are all helpful things.
Okay. Yeah. What do you tend to bring out? You mentioned an iPad. Do you bring laptops? Do you bring your phones? Do you use all of those things?
Yeah, absolutely. So most of our ed reps are bringing out laptops. Some of them do use iPads as well, or in place of in their account visits. But talking about something specific, rental nights as an example, we went all digital with our rental nights a little bit before most of our competition. So we've spent a lot of time integrating that into our process, and we found a lot of success with the speed and efficiency that we've been able to do. So I think a lot of people are on board with that now, but when we had started, it was a lot of the competitors were still, if we were going into a competitive rental night, that was certainly a competitive advantage for us being able to process digitally when other people were doing pen and paper contracts. But having that ability to, scan a QR code, using QR codes on our flyers, our marketing material, our lesson promotion, and some of the included lessons that we have with our rentals. Another thing that came out of the pandemic, a lot of people are much more comfortable and familiar with QR codes than they were before.
Yeah,
So,
that's for sure. Like every
so that's been
restaurant
a big
now,
one.
yeah, here's our menu on a QR code.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So pretty much everyone has a smartphone and is used to scanning those QR codes. So it's really helped the speed and efficiency of something like a rental night.
Yeah. So I'm curious with QR codes. I mean, they take you to a website, right? Uh,
Mhm.
do you have the ability to track whether someone found that website through, say, a Google search or typed it in directly or a QR code? Do you know how many come from a QR code?
Yeah, so it depends on the service that you're using to create that QR code. As an example, we use Bitly. So we are able to track how many scans that QR code is getting and how that's driving traffic to the website. So that's been a big benefit for us as well. We've done school events and even something like a recruitment event, right? So we've had um, reps that have developed a specialized flyer for a program and then have that QR code on there after a recruitment concert or a fitting day or something like that when the kids are really excited about music and stoked about getting started on their musical journey, and they can have a QR code that links directly to an educator's forum or an educator's web page where they say, yeah, I'm interested in joining music. And that's a really powerful thing that they can then take to the counselor and say, see all these kids that want to join music, and really helps advocate for their program.
Huh, interesting. And you're seeing an uptick in the use of QR codes to go to your websites.
Yeah, absolutely. We've done some marketing promotions this past year that saw a huge increase in success to things that we've offered, like scholarship programs and other signups that I think were up. I want to say it was about 30 to 40%
Wow.
above pre-pandemic.
Wow. Okay.
So
So if someone's listening and has never made a QR code in their life, how do you actually make the graphic, or how does this happen? How do you get this on your flyer, for example, and have it linked to your website? What's the technology behind it?
yeah, so it's super simple. You can just go online and search for QR code creator, or again, we use Bitly, so it's bit.ly. And I think they have a free version. We have a paid account. I think that's probably required for the tracking of how many people are scanning that code. But to actually create the QR code, there are a lot of free versions. It's also integrated into a lot of different platforms, and you just simply copy and paste your URL or web address into a box, and then you hit create QR code, and it downloads it, and that's it.
Hmm.
Then you can use that however you like.
Okay, it's just a graphics file at that point that you
Yep.
can insert into any graphics design kind of form or page.
Yeah, usually downloads as like a PNG file or a JPG file, so
Okay.
you have a few different options.
Hmm. Pretty cool. All right. Is there anything else that comes to mind? What about, I see people using Square or payment card swipers. What are your thoughts on that? Is there anything that's better than another out there?
Yeah, for mobile processing, some of those it really comes down to what device you're using and how that integrates to the software that you're utilizing. So that's been somewhat of a challenge for us in some ways, but the way our website works is that clients are entering information into the actual site into a form, so we don't need to swipe a card or anything like that. But if you're using like an iPad just for sales, there are things that you can a dongle that you can plug in directly into the device and then just have the ability to swipe right there, or tap with some of those new readers that are available as well.
Okay. The only one that comes to my mind is Square. Is that still kind of the go-to, or is there another better one out there?
Yeah, that's definitely been the most popular one. I know we used to use some of those previously as well for just capturing credit card information for a rental night or something like that. before we had kind of the full system fleshed out the way we do now. So I think that's still a front runner for sure.
Okay, great. One thing I remember you talked about in ASMD is kind of the cloud and Google Drive and OneDrive and all these things that store your data. Can you talk a little bit about these and how you use it? What the most popular programs are?
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, when computers have been around and they had local storage, right? So you would save a file onto your device and that's where it lived. And you hope that nothing happens to that device. And
Hmm.
if you don't have that device with you, you don't have access to that file. So one of the largest benefits of cloud computing is that now there are so many things that are web based. So in any of these technologies that I'm talking about, it's always better to go with something that's web based. So when I've talked about our CRM, that's web based. Trello board, different tasks, Google Forms. Again, we're a Google workspace organization, so we use Google Forms a lot for different surveys and signups and things of that nature. So we use Google Drive, and it's accessible to everyone within the organization as long as you're logged in to your email. So I have access from anywhere, regardless of the device that I'm using, to those different files I need, or even on my phone. So even if I don't have a computer with me, you're able to log in and access that information, whether it's a spreadsheet, a presentation file, a document, any of those different things. And the same is true for Microsoft as well. So I've used OneDrive, and it's the same sort of idea. So you have that accessibility piece. And one thing that's great about the web-based platform, and I'd say Google specifically, is the collaboration. So we're all able to edit those documents in real time, see those edits. It's a really powerful tool for brainstorming and collaborating in general.
Okay. All right. Excellent. We went through a lot of different programs so far. Is there anything we missed that we haven't discussed that's worth mentioning?
One thing I would say is, again, going back to kind of the Google and Microsoft versions, but Google Sites or Microsoft SharePoint. So I know some other dealers are using this as well, but that's something that's been really beneficial for communication, and just making sure everyone's on the same page across the organization, regardless of where they're located or what their position is. We have 10 locations, so it's, communication's always a challenge, I think, in any organization of any size. But when you're so spread out, it's super important to be able to have access. So as you can imagine, with you know the amount of technology and space that's available now, you're not as limited by, oh, I only have so much space on my hard drive. Now there's this kind of seemingly infinite amount of space in cloud computing. So you're able to develop lots of different documents and spreadsheets and things. But how are people able to access that is the important part. So these are some of the tools that can allow you to organize that information and make it accessible for your team. So some of the things that we store on there, again, information about processes and procedures. So if we have a standard operating procedure, we have that laid out digitally. It's accessible
Hmm.
and searchable there.
So all 10 stores can see the same standard operating procedure, right? It's all right there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And then things that are more individualized to a specific location will be on a page for that specific location. Our weekly meetings, I talked about that slideshow that we use. So that's something that's accessible to anyone there. And then also we do, as a company-wide town hall meetings each quarter. So those are available both as the presentation slides, and then also the recordings are available so that people can go back and reference any of that information that they need to try to keep everyone up to date and on the same page as much as possible.
Hmm. Okay. All great stuff. I learned a lot today. So we talked about this a little bit already, but there's such a broad range of people out there in their view towards technology. There's some who are absolutely adopting they have the latest and the greatest. They know how to use it. That's integrated into their daily life. And there are people who want nothing to do with it. In the big spectrum in the middle. So if you're more on the side of you don't like technology, some will actually say they're afraid of it. What's your advice to get people started who do want to dabble with it now and they're interested and they want to start using it? What's your advice on where to start and start to be comfortable with using technology in your daily life as an ed rep that maybe they didn't use before?
Sure. I'd say that somewhere to start would be something that's not too intimidating.
Hmm.
So maybe something that is similar to a manual process that you're doing now, where you can then transfer it to a digital platform and maybe look for an automation solution. Look for the, look at the, for the low hanging fruit first, essentially. And then also just be realistic. Like as a leader, if you're overseeing a team, be realistic about what your team's going to be able to do. Don't try to come in with super high expectations and expect everyone to be completely on board and using every piece of this new technology platform that you integrated the next week. But have some grace. And then if you're someone who's not as techno savvy, having grace with yourself as well and understanding that it's going to be a process, it's going to be a learning process, and it's going to take some time. But I think those small wins and seeing those small wins are super important. So, like I mentioned before about my team member that started to see value right away by utilizing some of these automations and templates
Mm-hmm.
in their workflow, you know, taking that and saying like, oh yeah, I can see how this is useful. Now I feel like I have that mastered. Let me take a look at another piece. So seeing it as a journey, not something that you're just going to learn overnight.
That's great advice. Yeah. Dennis, thank you so much. I mean, this is really interesting, and I do enjoy technology, and there's so many programs that I've never heard of that you mentioned, so I'm going to have to look into those. So again, for those listening, I will put the best list of links possible together so that you can go find all of these different programs that Dennis mentioned, and hopefully you can pick a few that really make your life a little easier out there. So again, Dennis, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We hope you found the information in this episode useful and something you can use in your everyday life as an ed rep. If there is a topic you'd like to learn more about and have presented on a future episode of Ed Rep Radio, or you'd like to give us some feedback in general, please email us at edrepradio@eastmanstrings.com. To learn more about Eastman Music Company, go to our website, eastmanmusiccompany.com, or give your Eastman rep a call. Thanks, and drive safe.